I want you to breathe, focus, and realize something powerful. You're not watching this by accident. You didn't stumble here by coincidence. You're here because life is preparing you for a breakthrough that's been waiting on you, not the other way around. Every once in a while, life sends you a message disguised as a moment that interrupts the noise, a moment that calls you out of your habits, your patterns, your limits. This is one of those moments. And if you're seeing this right now, it means you're closer to winning than you think, closer than your doubt wants you to believe, closer than your fear wants you to see. Because the truth is this, most people don't lose because they lack potential. They lose because they get tired, they get discouraged, they get trapped in the loop of almost, and they convince themselves that almost is enough, almost trying, almost believing, almost committing. And they don't realize that the gap between almost and unstoppable is just one decision, one moment of clarity where you stop negotiating with your excuses and start demanding more from yourself. You are not here to live in almost. You are here to rise. And rising doesn't begin with talent. It begins with state. It begins with the energy you bring into the room, the conviction you bring into your actions, and the standard you set for your life. The people who win are not the ones who never fall. They're the ones who refuse to stay down. They build discipline when no one is watching. They practice courage in the moments no one celebrates. They move forward even when the outcome is uncertain because they know that progress is built on action, not emotion. Right now, you are being asked to shift your focus, to shift your attitude, to shift the identity you've been carrying, the one that's been shaped by old stories, old fears, old limits. And the moment you shift, the world shifts with you. Opportunities that were invisible start to appear. Strength you forgot you had begins to surface. Momentum that felt impossible becomes natural. If you're seeing this, it's not a coincidence. It's a call. Because in the next section, you're going to learn why your breakthrough depends on the way you show up long before the victory ever arrives. There comes a moment in every person's life when the world stops moving long enough for you to hear your own truth. Not the noise, not the doubts, not the expectations of others, your truth. And that truth is simple. Nothing in your life changes until you decide you're done living at half your capacity. You can have the talent, the desire, the potential, but without a decision, all of it stays asleep inside you. A real decision is not made with your mouth. It's made with your standards. It's made with what you choose to tolerate. It's made in the moments when no one is watching, when you're tired, overwhelmed, discouraged, and you still choose to show up. Decisions are built in discomfort. They're built in the space between who you are and who you know you can be. And most people never make that leap because they wait for clarity before they move. But clarity doesn't come first. Courage does. In this world, you don't get what you want. You get what you demand. You get what you commit to. You get the results that match your rituals. If you've been wondering why you're not where you want to be, look at your habits, look at your patterns, look at the identity you've been living inside, because every pattern has a payoff, even the ones that hurt you. Staying comfortable has a payoff. Staying scared has a payoff. Staying stuck has a payoff. And the moment you admit that, you reclaim your power. You take back control. You stop blaming circumstances and start shaping your destiny. And here's the truth no one likes to hear. Your breakthrough doesn't arrive after you win. It arrives after you decide to stop running from your challenges. Victory starts when you stop negotiating with your excuses, when you stop relying on motivation and start relying on discipline, when you stop wishing and start preparing, when you stop asking, when will it happen, and start asking, who do I need to become for it to happen? Right now, life is asking you for one thing, a decision with no back door, a decision that says, I'm done repeating old cycles. I'm done shrinking to fit my fear. I'm done waiting for the perfect moment, because you don't need a perfect moment. You need a powerful mindset. And in the next section, we're going to talk about exactly that, how your mindset creates the world you live in, and how shifting it can open doors you didn't even know existed. There is a truth most people never fully grasp. Your life doesn't change when your circumstances change. Your life changes when your mindset changes, because your mindset is the lens through which you interpret everything. Your challenges, your opportunities, your failures, your future. And if that lens is fogged with fear, doubt, negativity, or old stories, you will keep reliving the same patterns no matter how hard you try to outrun them. The mindset you choose each day becomes the environment your spirit lives in. Some people wake up and step into a mindset of pressure. They feel behind before they even begin. Others step into a mindset of defeat. They've convinced themselves that their past defines their future, but winners, the ones who rise, choose a mindset of possibility, not because life is easy for them, but because they refuse to let circumstances decide their direction. Life responds to the frame you hold it in. If you see obstacles, you get stuck. If you see lessons, you grow. If you see opportunities, you move. If you see yourself as capable, you act like it. Your mindset is not something that just happens. It's something you build deliberately through the conversations you have with yourself, through the standards you reinforce, through the emotions you cultivate, through the beliefs you refuse to surrender. Most people wait for external success to give them an internal shift, but it's the reverse. The inner shift creates the outer results. Think about it. The person you want to become doesn't hesitate. They don't shrink. They don't negotiate with their fears. They lead from strength. So if you want the results that person would create, you have to start thinking, behaving, and deciding like them now, not later. You cannot wait for the win to feel worthy of the win. You must embody the identity before the evidence shows up. Your mind is the engine behind every choice you make. It influences your relationships, the money you attract or repel, the opportunities you recognize or overlook. When your mindset is small, your life becomes small. When your mindset expands, your life expands with it. And right now, you're being called to expand, to step out of the cramped mental space you've been living in and into a perspective that allows you to rise. Because in the next section, we'll dive into the silent enemy that destroys more dreams than failure ever could. Procrastination shaped by fear. There's an enemy in your life that doesn't shout, doesn't break down doors, doesn't announce its presence. It creeps in quietly, patiently, disguised as comfort, disguised as logic, disguised as not right now. And that enemy is procrastination fueled by fear. It's subtle, it's cunning, and it steals more dreams than failure ever will. People think procrastination is about laziness. It's not, it's about protection. Your brain is wired to keep you safe, not successful. Safe from embarrassment, safe from uncertainty, safe from change, safe from risk. So when you're standing at the edge of something that could transform your life, a decision, a commitment, a leap, your mind whispers later, tomorrow, when you're ready. And people listen because it feels reasonable, it feels calm, it feels familiar. But familiar is not the same as fulfilling. Fear-driven procrastination convinces you that you need more time, more clarity, more confidence. But clarity comes from action. Confidence comes from repetition. Momentum comes from movement. The only thing waiting gives you is regret. And here's the truth. Every time you postpone a meaningful step, you strengthen the identity of someone who hesitates instead of someone who follows through. You teach your mind that fear makes the decisions, not you. And here's the part people don't want to face. Procrastination stacks. One delayed action becomes a habit becomes a pattern becomes a lifestyle, and a lifestyle creates a destiny. If you're feeling stuck, it's not because you're incapable. It's because you've been postponing the actions that would create your breakthrough. You've been protecting your fear more than your future. You've been negotiating with the part of you that wants comfort instead of honoring the part of you that's hungry for more. Winning requires courage, not dramatic courage, not heroic courage, but practical daily courage. The courage to start when you don't feel ready. The courage to continue when you're uncertain, the courage to act even when your emotions don't line up. That's how you break the cycle. That's how you strip procrastination of its power. And once you understand this, once you stop giving fear the steering wheel, something incredible happens. Action becomes easier. Confidence becomes stronger. Progress becomes natural. Because in the next section, we're going to talk about the force that transforms progress into power, the discipline that creates unstoppable momentum. There is a point every achiever reaches where desire is no longer enough. Wanting the result, visualizing the future, feeling inspired, all of that is powerful, but none of it creates real change without the force that turns intention into reality. Discipline. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you know you could be. And without it, even the strongest desires collapse under the weight of inconsistency. Most people misunderstand discipline. They think it's punishment. They think it's restriction. They think it's the absence of freedom. But discipline is the highest form of self-respect. It's the moment you stop betraying yourself, the moment you stop breaking promises you make inside your own mind, the moment you decide that your future deserves more than your excuses. Discipline is not about feeling motivated. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the engine. Motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you moving when the spark is gone, when the excitement fades, when the world tests your commitment. Discipline is built in the moments you don't feel like showing up, but you show up anyway. It's built in the small choices repeated daily that compound into strength, skill, and certainty. If you look at anyone who wins consistently in business, in health, in relationships, in life, you'll find the same truth. They are not the most talented, but they are the most disciplined. They don't do more because they feel like it. They do more because they built the identity of a finisher. They follow through. They honor their commitments. They act in alignment with their standards, not their mood. And discipline has a ripple effect. When you practice it in one area, it strengthens you in every area. It elevates your mindset. It expands your confidence. It shapes your character. It rewires your belief about what you're capable of. Suddenly, difficulties become training. Obstacles become tests you're prepared for. Discomfort becomes fuel, because when you're disciplined, you stop living life by reaction. You start living by design. You become the architect of your outcomes. You stop waiting for the perfect day, the perfect energy, the perfect opportunity. You create your own conditions. You build your own momentum. And here's the most powerful part. Discipline becomes easier the more you practice it. It stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like identity. In the next section, we're going to talk about what gives discipline its emotional strength, accountability, the force that anchors your growth when life tries to pull you back. There comes a point on the path to your breakthrough where discipline alone isn't enough. You can be strong, committed, motivated, but life has a way of testing your resolve. Distractions come. Old habits resurface, doubt whispers, fatigue sets in. And in those moments, there is one force that keeps you from slipping back into who you used to be: accountability. Accountability is not about blame. It's not about guilt. It's not about beating yourself up when you fall short. Accountability is ownership. It's the willingness to look yourself in the mirror and tell the truth about where you are, what you're doing, and who you're becoming. It's radical honesty with your choices, because growth begins the moment excuses end. Most people avoid accountability because it forces them to confront the gap between their goals and their actions. It shines a light on the habits that sabotage their potential. It exposes the patterns they've been hiding inside. But the very thing they avoid is the thing that could change everything. When you hold yourself accountable, you reclaim your power. You stop outsourcing responsibility to circumstances, people, or luck. You stop telling stories that justify staying small. Accountability creates clarity. Clarity creates direction. Direction creates progress. Progress creates confidence. And confidence creates transformation. When you're accountable, you stop being a victim of your life and you become a creator of your life. You take ownership of your energy, your behavior, your outcomes. You stop saying, "I'll try," and start saying, "I will." You stop waiting for permission and start giving yourself the command to elevate. Accountability is the discipline of champions. It's the foundation of trust, trust between you and the highest version of yourself. And here's a truth successful people live by: you rise faster when someone is holding you to a higher standard. Whether it's a coach, a mentor, a partner, or even a promise written to yourself, when you know you are accountable to something greater, you stop quitting when it gets difficult. You stop hiding. You start growing with intention. Accountability keeps you aligned when distractions try to pull you off course. It keeps you consistent when emotions fluctuate. It keeps you moving forward when comfort tries to slow you down. It anchors your discipline so you don't drift backward into familiar patterns. In the next section, we're going deeper into the emotional engine that fuels accountability and discipline, the courage to make uncomfortable choices. There is a moment in every transformation where the path forward becomes unmistakably clear and unbearably uncomfortable. It's the moment your mind says, "I know what I need to do," but your emotions say, "Not yet, not today, maybe later." That moment is the crossroads between staying who you are and becoming who you're meant to be. And the only bridge between those two worlds is courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move even when fear is screaming at you. It's choosing the uncomfortable action over the comfortable excuse. Because every breakthrough you will ever experience lives on the other side of something you don't want to do. Growth demands discomfort, and courage is your willingness to embrace it instead of running from it. Most people wait for the fear to disappear before they take action. They wait to feel ready. They wait to feel confident. They wait for the perfect timing, the perfect plan, the perfect energy. But waiting is the slow death of potential. If you wait until you feel comfortable, you will wait your entire life. Courage means showing up when it's inconvenient. Courage means saying no to instant gratification and yes to the long-term vision. Courage means stepping into conversations that scare you, opportunities that challenge you, decisions that stretch you. Courage means risking failure, because what you risk not becoming is far more terrifying than anything you could lose. And here's what most people never realize. Discomfort is not a signal to stop. It's a signal that you're entering the territory of growth. It's your internal compass pointing toward expansion. Think about your greatest successes. None of them came from easy choices. None of them came from avoiding pressure. They came from doing the thing that felt heavy, intimidating, or uncertain. Courage shapes identity. Courage rewires your relationship with fear. Courage makes you trust yourself more than your doubt. And every time you choose courage over comfort, you upgrade your internal standard. Courage also affects your relationships, your finances, your opportunities, your self-worth. People trust those who trust themselves enough to face discomfort. Opportunities gravitate to people who take decisive action. Life opens its doors to those who refuse to shrink. And once you prove to yourself that you can survive discomfort, you stop running from it. You start seeking it. Because you realize discomfort is the birthplace of your evolution. In the next section, we're going into one of the most misunderstood forces that shape your entire life. Consistency, the quiet power that separates winners from wishers. There's a truth about success that most people underestimate. It's not built in the big moments, it's built in the small ones you repeat every single day. Consistency is not flashy. It's not dramatic. It won't give you instant gratification, but it will give you everything you've ever wanted if you commit to it long enough. In fact, consistency is the reason champions win long before anyone sees the results. It's the invisible advantage, the silent separator, the force that transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary outcomes. Most people chase intensity, not consistency. They sprint for 3 days and burn out by day 4. They get motivated for a week and disappear for a month. They want transformation, but they don't want repetition. And the truth is brutal but liberating. Consistency beats intensity every single time, because success is not about what you do once. It's about what you do repeatedly. It's about the habits you choose, the standards you uphold, the identity you reinforce. And here's the part people forget. Every time you act, you cast a vote for the kind of person you're becoming. When you choose to follow through, even when you're tired, even when you're busy, even when you don't feel like it, you're sending a message to your mind, I am someone who gets things done. That identity compounds, that confidence grows, that momentum builds. Consistency also builds trust with yourself and with the world. People rely on those who show up. Opportunities find those who stay committed. Life rewards those who continue long after the excitement fades. And here's the truth. Consistency doesn't need perfection. You will miss days. You will fall off track. You will get frustrated. But consistency isn't about never slipping. It's about never quitting. It's about realigning faster, getting back on track sooner, refusing to let one off day become a lost week. Winners recover quickly. That's their superpower. When you master consistency, everything changes. Your relationships become stronger. Your income becomes more stable. Your body becomes healthier. Your confidence becomes unshakable. Your future becomes predictable because you're creating it intentionally. Consistency is the architect of greatness. And once you understand that, you stop searching for motivation and start building discipline. In the next section, we're going to expand this power even further into the realm of momentum, the force that turns consistent action into unstoppable progress. Momentum is the moment everything shifts, the moment your actions stop feeling heavy and start feeling natural, the moment your progress stops being slow and starts becoming exponential. It's the moment when life stops resisting you and starts responding to you. Momentum is not luck. It is engineered. It is built. It is earned through the discipline you practice, the consistency you committed to, and the tiny steps you refuse to skip. Because here's the truth. Most people overlook it's not the first step that changes your life. It's the 100th. Not because the 100th is harder, but because by then momentum is carrying you. At the beginning, everything feels uphill. Your mind resists. Your habits fight you. Your old identity tries to pull you back. You question yourself. You wonder if you're capable, if you're wasting time, if you'll ever see results. But if you push long enough, push through resistance, push through doubt, push through the internal friction, something powerful happens. Your brain rewires. Your body adapts. Your confidence deepens. Your belief expands. Your standards rise. Momentum begins as discipline. Then it becomes consistency. Then it becomes identity. And finally, it becomes unstoppable. It starts small, a slight increase in energy, a little more clarity, a few more wins, and suddenly the path that once felt impossible starts feeling inevitable. You stop forcing yourself to act. You start wanting to act because now your habits are serving you instead of sabotaging you. Momentum also changes how life responds to you. People begin to notice your energy. Opportunities begin to move toward you. Doors that were once locked begin to open. You attract resources, relationships, and possibilities that didn't exist before. Not because the world changed, but because you did. And the beautiful thing about momentum is this. It doesn't care where you started. It doesn't care how many times you failed. Momentum only cares about direction and your willingness to keep moving. This is why winners protect their momentum like their life depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. Momentum is the difference between effort and ease, between forcing growth and flowing into growth, between surviving and rising. In the next section, we're going to take this energy and shift it into something even deeper. The power of purpose, the force that fuels long-term greatness. Purpose is the fuel that keeps you moving when motivation disappears. It's the anchor when life throws storms at you. It's the internal fire that doesn't flicker when things get hard. It grows. Purpose is not a luxury, it's a necessity, because without purpose, even success feels empty. But with purpose, even struggle feels meaningful. Most people drift because they're operating without purpose. They wake up reactive instead of intentional. They chase comfort instead of direction. They follow routines that don't fulfill them and wonder why they feel exhausted, overwhelmed, or lost. It's not because they lack ability, it's because they lack alignment. When you lack purpose, everything feels heavy. When you live with purpose, everything becomes connected. You stop asking, do I feel like doing this? You start asking, does this move me closer to who I'm meant to be? Purpose is clarity. Purpose is direction. Purpose is power. And here's the truth most people never realize. Purpose is not something you find. It's something you decide. It's not waiting behind a curtain somewhere. It's not hiding in a book or a career or a relationship. Purpose is built through action, through contribution, through choosing to matter in whatever space you're in. Your purpose expands as you expand. You don't need to know the final destination. You only need the courage to take the next step. Purpose is also what gives meaning to pain. Every setback becomes a lesson. Every failure becomes data. Every disappointment becomes fuel. When you know your purpose, adversity stops breaking you. It shapes you because your mission becomes bigger than the obstacle in front of you. Purpose is what separates those who quit from those who rise. The world follows people who carry purpose because purpose creates certainty, and certainty creates influence. Your relationships improve when you have purpose. Your financial life improves when you have purpose. Your opportunities expand when you have purpose. People trust those who know where they're going, but purpose demands something from you. Ownership, responsibility, commitment, a willingness to live in alignment even when it's uncomfortable, because with purpose comes power, but with power comes accountability. And that's exactly where we're going next, to the place where purpose turns into personal responsibility, the trait that separates winners from wishers. There is one truth that separates those who rise from those who drift: ownership. The people who win consistently do not blame the world, circumstances, or other people. They take full responsibility for their outcomes, every choice, every action, every result. And in that ownership, they find freedom, because the moment you stop blaming, you reclaim control over your life. Most people live in a subtle form of denial. They think, if only this happened, then I would succeed. If only they understood me, I could perform better. If only I had more luck, more time, more energy. But the truth is simple and brutal. Life gives you exactly what you do with what you have, not what you wish you had. Ownership is not comfortable. It forces you to face your mistakes, your excuses, your shortcomings. It forces you to look in the mirror and say, this is my life. I created it, and now I'm responsible for changing it. That clarity is terrifying for some, but it's liberating for those who understand that power is inseparable from responsibility. When you own your life, fear loses its grip. You stop waiting for permission. You stop hoping someone else will fix your problems. You stop letting emotions dictate your actions. You stop shrinking to fit expectations that don't serve you. Every decision becomes an investment in your identity. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to prove to yourself who you really are. Ownership also creates unstoppable momentum. When you refuse to externalize failure, you internalize lessons. When you refuse to postpone action, you amplify consistency. When you refuse to shrink from discomfort, you build courage. And here's the secret about ownership. It changes everything in the real world. Relationships improve because you stop projecting blame and start communicating clearly. Opportunities multiply because people trust those who take responsibility. Finances grow because you stop waiting for luck and start managing strategy. Energy increases because you stop fighting yourself and start leading yourself. Ownership turns life from reactive to proactive. It transforms excuses into leverage. It turns challenges into training grounds. It creates a standard for yourself that others can't impose and no obstacle can shake. And once you embrace ownership fully, a remarkable thing happens. You start seeing yourself not as a victim of circumstance, but as a magnet for results. You start attracting wins, not because life gave them to you, but because you earned them through courage, discipline, consistency, and accountability. And in the next section, we're going to take all of these forces, mindset, courage, discipline, accountability, momentum, purpose, and ownership, and show you the final truth that makes victory inevitable, the unstoppable belief that you are about to win. If you've made it this far, let me tell you something crucial. The very fact that you're listening, paying attention, absorbing this, means you are on the edge of something monumental. The universe does not waste moments like this. And you right now are being positioned to rise, to step into a version of yourself that doesn't just survive, but dominates the possibilities in front of you. You are about to win. Winning is not about luck. It is not about chance. It is not about someone handing you success because you deserve it. Winning is about alignment. It is about the synergy of everything you've done, the mindset you've built, the courage you've exercised, the discipline you've practiced, the consistency you've reinforced, the accountability you've honored, the momentum you've cultivated, the purpose you've embraced, and the ownership you've claimed. All of it comes together in this moment, and when it does, victory becomes inevitable. Most people wait for a signal outside of themselves. They wait for a green light from circumstances, approval from others, or motivation to magically appear. But winners do the opposite. They recognize that the signal is internal. The signal is the decision to act, to rise, to take control, to refuse mediocrity, to honor their standards, and to refuse to shrink for anyone or anything. The signal is the clarity that says, I am ready, I am capable, I am committed, I am about to win. And here's the truth about winning. It begins in the mind. It is cultivated in the daily rituals. It is reinforced in the small choices. It is accelerated by courage and fueled by purpose. Your actions, repeated over time, compound into results. The energy you bring into every interaction, every decision, every challenge attracts outcomes aligned with your standards. The world responds to people who refuse to settle, people who refuse to quit, people who refuse to negotiate with their own potential. Victory is not a distant dream. It is the natural byproduct of the life you are already building. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. You don't need to be flawless. You don't need permission. You simply need to recognize that everything you've done up to this point has prepared you to step into a new reality, one where your results match your potential, one where your confidence is unshakable, and one where your energy is unstoppable. So take this moment, own it, and step into it fully. Your mindset is your weapon. Your habits are your armor. Your courage is your engine. Your discipline is your foundation, and your purpose is the fire that will carry you forward. The truth is clear, undeniable, and powerful. If you're seeing this, you are about to win. And everything you've learned, everything you've built, everything you've committed to is leading you to that victory. Now go claim it. This is your moment. Your breakthrough is waiting.